Friends, welcome to my workplace at Ranaghat, West Bengal, India. This is a very hard cataract and there are several challenges in this case. There is pseudoexfoliation, weak zonule, corneal opacity, pupil has not dilated very well. We can plan SICS in this case, but SICS is also not easy in this case. There is a chance of intracapsular cataract extraction if we plan SICS in this case. So I have planned phacoemulsification using soft shell technique and nuclear division by Submarine chop. All the incisions are made. The anticapsule is stained with trypan blue dye, and then in this case I am going to inject a bit of adrenaline, here it is, to see if the pupil dilates little more by application of intracameral adrenaline. And yes, in this case the pupil dilated to some more extent because of adrenaline. The dye is nicely washed out. In this case I have planned soft shell technique, a bit modified, because I am not going to use sodium hyaluronate. I am going to use viscoat, and then below the viscoat I am going to use hydroxypropyl methyl cellulose. So the air bubble is nicely removed, and then viscoat is applied in the anterior chamber. Here it goes. This is viscoat from Alcon. And now below this, just over the anterior capsule, this is hydroxypropyl methyl cellulose, and the methyl cellulose pushes the viscoat up towards the corneal endothelium. And now in this case I'm going to do rhexis and see what happens. The whole lens moves and it indicates generalized weakness of zonule. However, I have to do a large rhexis in this case because the cataract is very hard. It is a black cataract, and the nucleus is huge. There is no epinucleus. The epinucleus has become a part of nucleus. So I have to do a large rhexis to manage this huge nucleus. And this has been a very satisfactory rhexis. And now hydrodissection. For hydrodissection, the BSS is injected in small amounts at multiple points. Here it is. This is at 2 o'clock, and now this is another application at 9 o'clock. This is another application at 7 o'clock, another on at 5:30 o'clock, and now again at 2 o'clock. Again I tap the nucleus, and again at a beat at 8 o'clock. So small amounts of BSS is injected at multiple points, and now I just tap on the nucleus and just try to mobilize it. Since the zonule is weak, I don't try to rotate the nucleus with just the hydrodissection cannula. This is dangerous. We must use two instruments and bimanually rotate this nucleus. If we rotate this nucleus bimanually like this, stress on the zonule will be much less. So the nucleus has rotated nicely, and now is the time to introduce the phaco needle. The machine being used is Pharos from Ocular. This is the exposed part of the phaco needle. I'm going to decrease it a bit, and this much is okay. And now the tip goes in with its bevel towards the cataract. Some superficial optical lens matter is removed. And now the handpiece is rotated to make the bevel up. And now I'm going to employ my submarine chop technique in this case. If the zonule is okay, we can try crater and chop technique, but in this case this technique will be less stressful for the zonule. So bury the tip just in front of the main incision into the substance of the nucleus, go through the nucleus towards the opposite equator, and as I reach near the opposite equator, I use the chopper to make a nice crack. But this is a huge nucleus. I have to sculpt a bit, go to a deeper plane, and then again try to separate the two heminuclei. Yes, I have got a very nice crack. Now I rotate the nucleus 180 degree, do some more sculpts, and then separate the nucleus, and it has divided into two parts. This is the larger part. I'm going to divide this into 3 fragments, and the smaller part I will divide into 2 fragments. We must rotate the nucleus very gently, because whenever we are rotating the nucleus, we are causing some stress on the zonule, and probably we are tearing off some zonular fibers. See, I am not able to rotate because of the weak zonule. To make some room, I remove this piece. The ultrasonic energy is being applied at the iris plane, and now I try to rotate and go to the other small part, but it's not rotating well. So again I apply a bit of viscoat, and below the viscoat this is hydroxypropyl methyl cellulose. And now I use the Sinskey hook and the chopper to rotate this lens mass and bring the smaller heminucleus at 5 o'clock. And now I'm going to divide this part of the nucleus into 2 fragments. So the phaco needle goes in again. I am in phaco 2 mode from the very beginning, where the vacuum is 400 mm of mercury and flow rate is 40 ml per minute. Ultrasonic energy set at 90%, though I'm not using 90% most of the time. So this is the smaller part. It has been divided into two fragments, and I'm emulsifying each fragment. Always a piece is being placed over the posterior capsule, another piece is being brought over that piece, and it is being emulsified. And this is the smaller part. Smaller heminucleus has been removed. Again, it doesn't rotate nicely. You cannot apply force in this case. Zonule is very weak. Apply some more viscoat, and below this viscoat, this is hydroxypropyl methyl cellulose. Again, use two instruments, two hooks, and gently rotate these pieces, these two fragments. And now I'm going to bring one fragment above the other fragment. Yes. And the last fragment I am not going to emulsify in this case without using an IOL scaffold. So this is the last but one fragment which I am going to emulsify at this moment. So here it is, the fragment is being emulsified nicely. Yes. So this is the last but one fragment. The last fragment is protecting the posterior capsule, and it is done. I come out, inject HPMC, rotate this fragment, place it at 5 o'clock, lift the apex, inject some more visco, make some room underneath this piece, and then here goes the intraocular lens in the capsular bag. This is a hydrophobic single piece monofocal intraocular lens, and the lens has gone into the bag very nicely. And now I am going to emulsify this last piece over the IOL scaffold. And this IOL is protecting the posterior capsule very well. 100% protection is achieved by the IOL scaffold. No other instrument, not even posterior capsule protector, no chopper, no long chopper provides this kind of protection to the posterior capsule. So if there is weak zonule, keep the last piece, inject the IOL in the bag, and then over this IOL emulsify the last piece. Cortical cleanup is done nicely. I am using a Simcoe cannula which can be used very gently, and we can apply tangential pull, not centripetal pull, tangential pull to protect the zonular fibers. And now this is the antechamber was getting shallow, so I injected and air bubble to maintain the anterior chamber. And now I close the side ports, hydrating corneal stroma on either side of these incisions, and then a final lavage of the anterior chamber is done. The air bubble is removed. The antechamber is formed very nicely. Integrity of all the wounds are checked and the case is concluded. Thank you very much for your attention. Hope this video will give you very essential tips in managing a hard cataract with weak zonule. Thank you very much for your attention. Be a great surgeon and serve your patients with love, respect, compassion, and great surgical competence.